This training module will cover the in-home presentation without the use of a flip chart. Now, prior to going out on your appointment, it's recommended that you review your appointment with your marketer as well as role play this presentation. You will want to get several quotes together to present to your prospect. You'll only be showing 3 of the quotes, but it's best to have 6 or 7 prepared. I recommend writing them in a corner of a piece of paper in small print so they're readily available. You will also want to have all necessary paperwork ready to write the application. So let's get started on the presentation. It's important to make a good first impression because people don't buy from people they don't like. Start your warm-up by talking about them. My warm-up consists of questions about their life, and the answers provide me with information I can use to close the sale. Some of the questions I ask are, how long have you lived here? I may ask if they own the home because I can use the expense of selling the home in my presentation if I have to. Did you raise your family here? How many kids do you have? How many grandchildren? Do they live nearby? I ask this because if kids and grandkids live out of town, this could cause additional expenses. Are you still working? If so, where do you work and what do you do? If not, where did you retire from? I ask this to get an idea if they have life insurance from where they work or worked. Now, most of the leads that are provided to us also have the prospect's favorite hobby. Use it to build rapport. Get them talking about themselves. Once you have determined that your warm-up is done, it's time to transition into the presentation, but before you get started, make sure the stage is set properly. You'll want to be seated at a kitchen or dining room table. If there's more than one prospect, make sure you're facing both of them. If there is a radio or television on, ask if they could please turn it off. You don't want any distractions during your presentation. I start my presentation by saying, Mary, what I'm going to do today is tell you a little bit about my company, and we'll talk about how final expense insurance works, and we'll see if there's a fit here for you, okay? Mary, I work with Chelsea Insurance Group, and we specialize in final expense or funeral expense insurance. We help families make sure that the funds are available when they're needed the most. Because without a final expense policy, your family has to pay all the costs out of pocket, and what typically happens is your family sits around a table just like this and tries to decide who's going to pay for all the final expenses. Mary, have you ever had to plan a loved one's funeral? And did they have insurance or did the family have to pay for everything? They had insurance, so that's good. You're lucky because if they didn't have insurance, what usually happens is that one of the family members can afford to pay more than the others. And one can't afford to pay anything at all. And if there's another one, maybe they could pitch in a little bit, but it's going to be a financial burden for them. And unfortunately, this scenario can cause some ill feelings among the family members because the one that had to pay more is upset because it cost him more, and the one that couldn't afford anything is upset because they couldn't pitch in. It's not because they didn't want to, it's just that they weren't able to. And the one that gave a little is hurting financially now. And a final expense plan will prevent this from happening and allows your family to mourn properly. And I'm sure that's what you want, right? Great. Well, Mary, I want you to know that all of the plans are fully guaranteed, and whatever amount you decide on today will always be that amount, and your monthly premium will never, ever change. And our plans build cash value over time, so it's like a little savings account for you. It's not designed to get rich off of, but it'll make sure that you stay insured. And I include this benefit in all of my clients' policies, and it's at no cost to them. And the way that it works is if that you're unable to make your premium payment because you just physically can't make the payment, or if everybody has financial hiccups, if you have a financial hiccup and you can't afford to make a payment, it'll automatically come out of your cash value so you don't lose your important coverage. Now, Mary, my job is kind of easy because I've got to do 2 things. The first thing I have to do is find a plan that you're going to qualify for medically. That part's easy for me because all I do is ask you questions off of an application, and your answers to those questions will determine which plan you qualify for. Now, the second thing I have to do is make sure that the plan that I find for you fits comfortably within your monthly budget. And I have no idea if I'm able to do that because I don't know what your budget is. So Mary, with your permission, I'd like to ask you the questions off of the application. Great. Now ask all the questions, and when completed, if all the answers are no, say, Mary, you know what? You answered no to all the health questions. Looks like you're going to qualify for our best plan, which is also the lowest cost plan. Now let's see if we could pick a plan that will fit your budget. So on a blank piece of paper now, write 3 options that you feel are affordable and will meet the prospect's needs. Write the face amount in the middle of the page with the corresponding premium payment to the right. When you're done writing the 3 options, turn the paper around and with a pen in hand, point to the first option. Mary, here are the options that we have to protect your family. When you pass away, and hopefully you know the beneficiaries' names or if they're the kids, when you pass away, the kids will receive $10,000, and that's $49.95 per month. And we also have $15,000. When you pass away, the kids will get $15,000, and that's $74.95 per month. And then, of course, there's $20,000 that the kids will receive, and that's $99.95 per month. And then just sit back and let Mary choose which option she wants. Once she's chosen an option, we want to complete the application by saying, great. You know, I've already asked you all the health questions. I just need to get a little bit more information from you so that we could submit the application to the underwriters along with a void check, which is going to be your first month's premium. And then your bank will send all the future premiums to the insurance company every single month on the same date, and you get to pick the date that's best for you. So Mary, what's your middle initial? And start completing the application. Once the application is completed, let Mary know what's going to happen next. Mary, you'll be receiving your policy in around 2 to 4 weeks, and the insurance company is going to send the policy directly to you. When it arrives, I need you to review the policy and make sure it's everything, excuse me, everything I said it was and everything you want it to be. And if you have any questions at all between now and the time that you review your policy, I want you to call me. I've included my name and phone number on this brochure that tells you all about the product and the company, as well as my numbers are on my business card. And Mary, do you have any questions while I'm still here? If no questions, button up the sale and tell her thank you and have a nice day. So let's go back to the beginning of the presentation and break it down a little bit at a time so that you understand why we say the things we say. At the very beginning and at the end of the warm-up, we say, what I'm going to do is tell you about the company that I work with and talk about how final expense works, and we'll see if there's a fit there for you. Well, right then and there, I kind of took the pressure off her because she doesn't think I'm there to sell her anything. I'm there to tell her something. So what we do is we tell and not sell. The first thing, what we want to do is we're painting very vivid pictures in their mind. So right away, we're talking about the family talking about who's going to pay for the final expenses, sitting around a table. And I always tap on the table because I want her to picture her family sitting around this very table trying to decide who's going to pay for what expenses. Then I ask her a very crucial question. Have you ever had to plan a loved one's funeral? And most of the people that we deal with are seniors, so of course they've had to plan somebody's funeral, whether it's their parents, siblings, or even possibly their children. So that takes them back to that time. And if they had to pass the hat around, they're thinking about that. They're thinking they don't want to burden their family like they were burdened in the past. So when we talk a little bit about what usually happens is that one of the family members can afford more than the others. And that's pretty typical in all families. And you'd be surprised at how many people are going to tell you, you know what, you just described my family. Then we just created a problem for them. We're talking about somebody having to pay for their final expenses. And if they don't have a plan like this, it's going to create a financial burden for their family. So now that we've created the problem, now we're going to show them the solution and talk about the programs that we have and how a plan, by getting a plan today, will help eliminate the financial burden for their family. Once we've done that, we go into the application. My job is kind of easy. I have to do two things. Well, that gets the application to the table. You start asking the questions and finding out exactly what they do qualify for. Once you've found the plan that they're going to qualify for, and then you present them with the options. It's very, very important to let them pick an option. If too much time goes by and nobody is talking, if they're not picking one of the options, what you can say is, Mary, which of these options are we going to go with today? At this point, Mary will either pick an option or present you with an objection, and we'll show you how to overcome objections in the next training module. But if you put your personality into this presentation, hit all the key points, you'll wind up selling most of the people you get in front of.